Bitcoin and Ethereum. You don't need anything else.
Investing veteran Kevin O'Leary just said something very interesting about what's next for crypto.
Cleansing, a good thing, a spatula cleaning from all that poo-poo coin out there that's just pure speculation.
That big money is about to come in to crypto, but institutions are asking, what do I need to own? And the answer is not poo-poo coins. The institutions, according to Kevin, are just focused on Bitcoin and ETH.
Most of us that are in this market are assuming the Clarity Act will follow through sometime in Q1 or 2, which is moving through another Haggerty and others driving this. They worked on the Clarity Act. And this exchange is a good thing because it shows the government's backing it and it'll be compliant. But here's the one thing that's changed that people should understand.
Let's also talk about what just changed with Ethereum's latest upgrade, XRP news, Binance news, and so much more. Watch today's whole video. But this is what Kevin O'Leary just said on Fox Business Live.
Okay, 92,000. We're not just looking at crypto. We're looking at these prediction markets. We're looking at all of this stuff that people are investing in. You can call it, some people call it gambling, betting. The CFTC, some of the rules that are in place, are the safeguards really there?
I would say we're 30% there. It started with the Genius Act, and one of the reasons that the wind came out of Bitcoin is when all of a sudden stablecoins became legal, tender and payment systems, not on speculative pricing, but basically backed by the U.S. Treasury of duration less than 92 days, the whole world woke up and said, wait a second, this is a way I can actually do a transaction between geographies at a low cost. And a lot of people had bought into Bitcoin thinking that it would become the tender of preference for actual digital payment and settlement. Stablecoins took the wind out of that, and we saw the first drop. But something else has happened. Most of us that are in this market are assuming the Clarity Act will follow through sometime in Q1 or 2, which is moving through another Haggerty and others driving this. They worked on the Clarity Act. And this exchange is a good thing because it shows the government's backing it and it'll be compliant. But here's the one thing that's changed that people should understand. There are thousands of altcoins or rat coins they're called, and poo-poo coins, you know, it turns out that even though some of them have a use case, if you're an investor and now all of a sudden you get the Clarity Act and you're an institution and you decide to put a 3% to 5% weighting like you would in gold, I'm talking pension and sovereign wealth funds, the data tells you something very stark. It says all you have to own to capture 90% of all of the crypto market's alpha or pricing volatility is simply Bitcoin and Ethereum. You don't need anything else. And so this is really, really hard medicine for all of the people that sponsored all of these other chains and other platforms, because now they face the reality, which I think is a cleansing, a good thing, a spatula cleaning from all that poo-poo coin out there that's just pure speculation. But it also says the maturity of the market is looking at the numbers because the big money's about to come in. So if you were just in Bitcoin and Ethereum over the last 8 weeks, you've done so much better than own the poo-poo coins. And the poo-poo coins aren't going to come back unless they can give you a use case and they have to have tens of millions of dollars in marketing. Jack, you just called for the price of Bitcoin. That is universal around the world. The only other call is on Ethereum, and no one else gets that ticker you just called for.
Right.
They have to mark it. They have to buy it.
Made that case from the beginning of this, that Bitcoin really was the be-all and end-all, and that all these poo-poo coins,
now you have the infrastructure.
Had no value.
You have the infrastructure saying, I'm an institution. What do I need to own? No poo-poo coins, just Bitcoin and Ethereum.
And what's the reason Kevin O'Leary is saying this? Because in markets of uncertainty, in bear markets, downtimes where there's less liquidity, the money does tend to flow into the quality, and Bitcoin and then ETH have the biggest networks. They are the most quality. The others have more opportunity. They're just more speculative. But notice this. While 5-10 years ago, everybody would now say in a bear market, well, all of cryptocurrency is bad. It's all speculative. The institutions and the people that I think represent the institutions, like Fidelity's CEO, Abigail Johnson, gives the reason for just focusing, accumulating Bitcoin.
So I don't know if it's because I started early, or I don't know, maybe as I get older, I'm just kind of old-fashioned, but like I kind of like Bitcoin. I don't own tons of coins, but I own Bitcoin. And I think it will continue to play a role in the savings hierarchy of lots of people. And it is the gold standard, so to speak, in the crypto world. And it's been around, and it's solid, and it's persisted, and it's a good system.
So the narrative for Bitcoin with the institutions is shifting. And fun fact, if you've held Bitcoin for over 3 years, your odds of losing money were basically zero. This is why we hodl. So this is your probability of losing money or negative returns. If you've just held Bitcoin for 1 day, you have almost a 50% chance of losing money. 1 week, 44% chance. 1 year, you have about a 23% chance of negative returns. It's pretty good for a speculative asset. 3 years, it's basically zero. You're going to make money. 5 years, basically zero. 10 years, you always have made money. Now, Kevin O'Leary also mentioned Ethereum. We understand Ethereum just had an upgrade. Ethereum launches Fusaka upgrade to make the network more scalable. Subscribers of Altcoin Daily were ready for this. We discussed this. But if you missed the Ethereum Fusaka upgrade, it improved efficiency, security, and developer tools. It provided better L2 support and lower gas fees for the user, and more capacity and throughput. The upgrade will no doubt fast-track institutional adoption. The mainstream media did not cover this. We did. And I loved this explanation on how this affects you if you hold ETH. ETH just obliterated the anti-L2 argument, meaning why should I hold Ethereum when all the value seems to be accruing on what's built on top, the L2s? Well, they just raised the rent on L2s overnight, meaning this new upgrade raised the rent on L2s. I asked Grok, and Grok confirmed, yes, the Ethereum Fusaka upgrade, which was activated on December 3rd, 2025, effectively raised the rent on Layer 2 solutions by introducing a minimum blob base via Ethereum Improvement Proposal 7918. This sets a reserve price for blob data, etc., etc. Raising the rent on L2s effectively, meaning it's clear now. L2s are rent-paying tenants. They do not own the land. The landlord, ETH, can increase its take at any time. Do you want to invest in a management company or own the land? Owning Ethereum is owning the land. What about Polymarket, which is a channel partner? They're built on Ethereum. They're built on Ethereum L2. We see one of their most popular polls today is who will be the Time 2025 Person of the Year. Clicking on the poll, the odds are clear that artificial intelligence in general, 40% chance to be Time Person of the Year. And again, this is all built on and using Ethereum. If you were to say, hey, I believe the odds. I think the odds are sound. Artificial intelligence, I believe, will be Time Person of the Year. You bet, let's say $100. You can win $250 total with the odds right now at only a 40% chance, which is the favorite. If you think the Pope is going to win and you know something, you have a feeling, even though it's only valued at 7%, you put that $100 on the Pope and the Pope is Time Person of the Year, you win total $1,428. Again, this is one of the most popular apps of 2025 and beyond, and this is built on Ethereum. Link down below if anybody wants to follow along, check it out. And check this out. XRP ETF inflows hit a 15-day streak, meaning the United States spot XRP ETFs have now logged 15 straight days of net inflows, pushing total assets to nearly $900 million. So despite what Kevin O'Leary says about just Bitcoin, just Ethereum, which I agree with, they have passed the chasm. They are the blue chips. Bitcoin was last cycle as well, but now it's Bitcoin and ETH. Institutions are focused on some of their more risky plays, the XRPs. We also see exchange partner Binance starting them young. Binance releases the ABCs of crypto, an A to Z book explaining crypto concepts simply. So the goal of this, and if I had kids, I would definitely give my son or daughter this, I don't have kids. But the goal, not just for kids actually, it's to educate beginners, families, and anybody stepping into digital finance. We can see some of the pages of the book. We see C is for crypto, explains what crypto is. D is for do your own research. I like that. E is for exchanges, obviously. F is for fiat. L is for leverage. We got to learn about everything. V, volatility. I think this is cool. I think there is a big education gap with young people. We don't teach financial education in schools, and it starts with a picture book. It starts with just learning about the basics of crypto, of finance. We also know the Bittensor Tau halving. Bittensor halves in about 8 days. There will only ever be 21 million Tau, like Bitcoin, baked into the code. And I thought this visual was interesting. This is global. Look at the numbers for Tau people around the world. There's 128 subnets, 22 apps already built, almost 500,000 accounts created, 4.6 million transactions, over 3,000 miners across 107 countries, projected to be, in 5 years, 30 million miners. And all this happened in under 3 years. Bittensor is in its first few years, watching Metcalfe's Law in action. Click subscribe if you want an edge investing in crypto. 1 video per day we drop, keeping you informed. Click subscribe just to learn daily. And like always, see you tomorrow.